Good morning, Sarah. The intention of today's Mass is for deceased family members of Ernie and Evelyn Nisikowski. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The Lord be with you. On this day we come before the Lord asking His mercy and healing in our lives. You are sent to heal the contrite heart. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy.
Came to call sinners. Christ, have mercy.
Christ, have mercy.
Intercede for us at the right hand of the Father. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy.
May Almighty God have mercy on us, forgive us our sins, and bring us to everlasting life. Let us pray. O God, from whom all good things come, grant that we who call on you in our need may enter promptly discern what is right, and by your guidance do it. Through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
A reading from the first book of Kings. At the mountain of God, Horeb, Elijah came to a cave where he took shelter. But the word of the Lord came to him, "Go outside and stand on the mountain before the Lord. The Lord will be passing by." A strong and heavy wind was rending the mountains and crushing rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, there was a tiny whispering sound. When he heard this, Elijah hid his face in his cloak and went and stood at the entrance of the cave. A voice said to him, "Elijah, why are you here?" He replied, "I have been most jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. But the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life." The Lord said to him, "Go, take the road back to the desert near Damascus. When you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael as king of Aram. Then you shall anoint Jehu, son of Nimshi, as king of Israel, and Elijah, son of Shaphat, of Abel-Maholah, as prophet to succeed you." The word of the Lord. I long to see your face, O Lord. I long to see your face, O Lord. Hear, O Lord, the sound of my call. Have pity on me and answer me. Of you my heart speaks. You my glance seeks. I long to see your face, O Lord. Your presence, O Lord, I seek. Hide not your face from me. Do not in anger repel your servant. You are my helper. Cast me not off. I long to see your face, O Lord. I believe that I shall see the bounty of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord with courage. Be stout-hearted and wait for the Lord. I long to see your face, O Lord. Alleluia, alleluia.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Shine like lights on the world as you hold on to the word of life.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you, everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out, throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body thrown into Gehenna. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body into Gehenna. It was also said, whoever divorces his wife must give her a bill of divorce. But I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, unless the marriage is unlawful, causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." The Gospel of the Lord. Sure, in the right spot. Try this. I'm always thinking of different ways to make it sound better. So I'll keep the microphone on, stand closer. Let me know if that works, or sound on that other end. Actually, it's echoing on my end. I'm going to go like this. There was a great writer, probably would have been canonized a saint. I think it was Origen. And is he the one that wrote Imitation of Christ? He's a great spiritual writer. But he was never canonized because he took this gospel literally. And he cut off part of his body because it was temptation, so he cut it off. That ended his possibility of getting canonized. Okay? Jesus didn't mean to do that. That's what At the time of Jesus, rabbis spoke in these terms, in very sort of graphic terms, and that was to drive home their point. They never expected that a person would actually do that. And people at the time knew that. It's like, it's a joke out east in the East Coast. People in different parts of the country greet each other in different ways, like hello, or how you doing, and things. And out east, the most common is to say, how you doing? How you doing? Walk by. No one ever expects you to answer that question. And if you start to answer the question, they think something's wrong with you. But you said, how you doing? Now let me tell you about my life. No, you don't do that. And the same thing here. But what does Jesus mean? Obviously he means to take things seriously. That's why he's saying that. And so, this is not an uncommon, very common. People think, well, I committed this sin or that sin because my mind, I had like it says, a lustful thought. Already committed adultery in his heart. It doesn't, we have all sorts of emotions. Our emotions are constantly moving like a stream in us. And we have all kinds of thoughts, all sorts of feelings, and that's just what they are. Feelings are what we call amoral. They're neither right nor wrong. They're a feeling. Sometimes they may be a disgusting feeling, or they may be a really good feeling, but there's no morality necessarily attached to it. The morality comes into play when I start to make a choice about that feeling.
That's where the morality comes. That when I actually make a decision, a choice, now I'm acting in a way that I'm using my faculties and so on and so forth. It's not just a passing thing going through my mind. So it's a good thing to think of. Like when I'm praying, sometimes I get distracted and then feel bad because I'm getting distracted. Well, that happens. We're human beings. We're not perfect. In fact, one in the life of St. Padre Pio, at one point they had seminarians. He was in charge of seminarians, and they had their meditation time. And one of the seminarians wrote about this, that he's trying to meditate so hard, he just could not stay concentrated, and he kept working at it, but nothing was working. And at the end, he thought, wow, that was a waste. And all of a sudden, he gets tapped on the shoulder, he turns around, there's Padre Pio. And he said to him, bravo. In other words, you did a good job. You were trying to concentrate, and it wasn't working well, but you kept trying. And that's what he was congratulating him on. It wasn't the fact that he's getting distracted. That's bound to happen. But he kept coming back to what he was doing. Where the sin more greatly comes in is when I make that choice. Like here it's adultery, and kids here. Okay, I am going to commit adultery with this person. Okay, now I've made a choice. That's a moral action. That's a moral movement. So in a sense, I've already sinned. And once I make that commitment and that choice, and if something outside of myself stops it from happening, that isn't my choice. That's something outside of myself. In other words, I already made that choice. I'm going to do this. And the reason it didn't happen is because something outside of my control blocked me from doing it. Now, legally, you could say, no, you didn't commit adultery. Morally, yes, you have. Because you made that choice. You were going to do it. It's something outside of me that stopped me from doing it. So I have already made that choice. And that's what Jesus means. Lust in your heart. You've already made the choice. So in a sense, morally, I've already committed the sin. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm going to rob a bank, and I have every intention, I have the gun, and I have everything all set up, and I get there, and there happens to be 4 policemen in the bank at the time doing business, I'm probably not going to rob it at that point. But I've already made the decision, so morally, I'm still guilty of the sin of theft, of robbery. And so I should go to confession about that. It doesn't matter whether it actually happened or not, I made that choice. And there is more gravity to it if it actually is fulfilled. But in the sense of what Jesus is talking about, I've already done it. And I need to repent of that. And so sometimes in our lives we can look back. I know I've had to do that. Look back and think, boy, I actually was going to do that. And it's because my buddies dragged me outside of the store on my face that it stopped doing it. So I actually did it. And sometimes we think of those things and we go back and repent. So that's what Jesus is talking about. It's when I make a moral choice. I have decided. Now I'm getting into the area of I've either sinned or I've made a good choice too, the other way around. So for example, you could just flip that over. And I'm going to, in the grocery store, and I see a family that's trying to pay for things. They have to take certain things out of their groceries because they can't afford them. And I'm looking at this and I see that that would be good for the family and so on and so forth. And so I'm going to step up and pay for it if they let me pay for it. But before I can do it, the person in front of me does it. Well, as far as God is concerned, you got 2 blessings here. The person who did it and you, because you were going to do it and you made the choice. It's just that something outside of yourself prevented you from doing it because someone else already did it. You're still going to get the blessing for doing it because you have made an actual choice to move that direction, to carry it out. Something else stopped you. So that's the flip side. That's something good. It works that way too. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I think that's about enough about that. These are one of the handiest things I can think of. They really, really, when you really, really break stuff in your wrist, it's just really good.
Blessed are you, Lord, God of all creation, and through your goodness we have received the bread we offer you, fruit of the earth, the work of your hands, and will become for us the bread of life. Blessed are you, Lord, God of all creation, for through your goodness we have received the wine we offer you, fruit of the vine, and work of your hands, become our spiritual drink. Since I forgot to do it, we can do it now. So if you want to stand for the intercessions. One of the things I'm thinking of and keeping your prayers today, we're meeting after this with the artist who's designing everything, the artist who designed our crucifix, drew it and everything. We're meeting with him today on some other things. And the crucifix is scheduled. They're going to do the wall first and then put the crucifix up, but it's all scheduled to happen in July. So hopefully by the end of July it'll all be in place. So we turn to the Lord today with our prayers and petitions as we pray for our Holy Father, Pope Francis, our Bishop John, for all who hold and teach the faith throughout the world. We pray to the Lord. For all government leaders, for our president, our vice president, our senators, our House of Representatives, for our judicial branch, our state legislators, our governors and mayors, mayor-elected community leaders, we pray to the Lord. For our families, our relatives and friends, for those who have asked us to pray for them, those for whom we have promised to pray, for those in our book of intentions, Holy Family St. Mary's School, Holy Family Parish, office and staff, for our loved ones, for those who have asked for our prayers, and those for whom we have promised to pray, those in need of healing, and those who have no one to pray for them, we praise the Lord. And for all who passed in his life in the intention of this Mass, for the deceased family members of Bernie and Evelyn Niskowski, that all may be rejoicing in the kingdom of heaven and the glory of God, we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Pray, brothers and sisters, that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God, the Almighty Father.
May the Lord accept the sacrifice of your hands for the praise and glory of his name, for our good and good of all his church.
Look kindly upon our service, O Lord, we pray that what we offer may be an acceptable oblation to you and lead us to grow in charity through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you. Lift up your hearts. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. It is truly right and just, our duty and our salvation, always and everywhere to give you thanks, Lord, Holy Father, Almighty and eternal God, through Christ our Lord. His death we celebrate in love, his resurrection we confess with living faith, and his coming in glory we await with unwavering hope. And so with all the angels and saints we praise you as without end we acclaim, Holy, holy, You are indeed holy, O Lord, the fount of all holiness. Make holy, therefore, these gifts, we pray, by sending down your Spirit upon them like the dewfall, so that they may become for us the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. At the time he was betrayed, he entered willingly into his passion, he took bread and giving thanks, broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, Take this, all of you, and eat of it. For this is my body, which will be given up for you. In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice, and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, Take this, all of you, and drink from it. For this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me. The mystery of faith. Save us, Savior of the world, for by your cross and resurrection you have set us free. Therefore, as we celebrate the memorial of his death and resurrection, we offer you, Lord, the word of life and the chalice of salvation, giving thanks that you have held us worthy to be in your presence and minister to you. Humbly we pray that, partaking of the body and blood of Christ, we may be gathered into one by the Holy Spirit. Remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world, and bring her to the fullness of charity, together with Francis, our Pope, John, our Bishop, and all the clergy. Remember also our brothers and sisters who have fallen asleep in the hope of the resurrection, and all who have died in your mercy. Welcome them into the light of your face. Have mercy on us all, we pray, that with the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, with Blessed Joseph, their spouse, with the blessed apostles, and all the saints who have pleased you throughout the ages, we may merit to be co-heirs to eternal life. May praise and glorify you through your Son, Jesus Christ. Through him, and with him, and in him, O God, Almighty Father, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours forever and ever. Amen. At the Savior's command, informed by divine teaching, we dare to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us, Lord, we pray, from every evil. Graciously grant peace in our days, that by the help of your mercy we may be always free from sin, safe from all distress, as we await the blessed hope and the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, Peace I leave you, my peace I give you, look not on our sins, but on the faith of your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity in accordance with your will, who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. Peace of the Lord be with you always. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us.
Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, grant us peace.
Behold the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter my prayer, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed.
The communion after the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my
Now our prayer of spiritual communion. My Jesus, I believe that you are in the Blessed Sacrament. I love you above all things, and I long for you in my soul. Since I cannot now receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart. So you have already come, I embrace you, unite myself entirely to you. Never permit me to be separated from you. Amen. Let us pray. May your healing work, Lord, free us, we pray, from human evil and lead us to what is right, through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you. The Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in the peace of Christ.